Bloomberg Audio Studios. Podcasts, radio, news.
The Stock Movers Podcast, your roundup of companies making moves in the stock market, harnessing the power of Bloomberg data.
I'm Tim Stenovic along with Emily Griffeo. Let's take a look at some stocks on the move today. We are joined by Bloomberg News earnings reporter, Red Brown. Red, no shortage of stocks to choose from today.
No, lots of red today.
Oh, look at
nice
that.
Yeah, so one of those stocks that was in the red today is First Solar. The ticker is FSLR, fell around 4.3%, was down as much as 5.2%. And that really is coming from we got the final version of of Trump's giant bill. This stock and all the other energy stocks have kind of been whipsawing back and forth as different drafts have come out, depending on how much that bill would be cutting the subsidies that were embedded in the IRA. It looks like they're taking more of a scalpel than a kind of a chainsaw to these subsidies. So from right now, the kind of final analysis is that home and solar storage faces strict cutbacks this year, but utility scale projects will have a little bit more runway. We'll be able to collect subsidies depending on when those projects start, things like that, through the end of the decade. So stock is down, or is actually even, or is around neutral for the year now, as a lot of this has been baked in. But it kind of does remove a pretty big overhang that's been on these stocks for a while now, and maybe can kind of get back to some normal trading.
It was among one of the worst performers in the S&P 500 for solar. Lululemon was also among one of the top losers of the day.
Yes, Lululemon, that ticker is LULU, fell around 4% today. Also it was down around by as much as 5%. That brings the total losses for the stock to 39% for the year. That's within the 5 worst performing in the S&P 500. And as you guys were just talking about, these trade deals or tariffs just continue to roll in, and it's really just a lot of pressure on stocks like Lululemon. They have I think 11%. I was looking before I came on, of their suppliers are within Japan and South Korea. So they really are kind of right in the center of this storm. Every time Trump kind of tweets something out, it's the stocks like Lululemon that are really feeling the pain.
6-7 years ago, we'd be talking about Lulu like it's, the only thing out there when it comes to athleisure. That's not the case these days. I was on vacation last week and I was actually talking to a friend who was like asking me about Lulu. He's like, what do you think of Lulu? He's like, everybody I know is wearing Aloe, Viore.
Yeah.
You're nodding. Is this the case now? I
feel like the options for premium athleisure are endless these days. Like those brands, like you just mentioned, even Athleta, I would probably put up there in that more premium brand.
Like the big
they have
names
a lot
too.
of competition, yeah.
Like Adidas and Nike, everyone else is getting into it as well.
Yeah.
Even people that you wouldn't even expect to be doing athleisure. So, and that's creating a problem for Lulu. It does seem like they have more competition. They need to stand out more. And it doesn't seem like a lot of their new products necessarily are resonating as much when you're talking about, what is it, like $150 for a pair of pants? Yeah. You can probably get something just as good on Amazon for whatever it may be. So yes, it's definitely another issue for the company, is not only just the cost problem that they're having with the tariffs, but also just, finding their brand within this kind of sea.
And then Roan, another competitor too, to add to the list of that premium category. Okay, finally, from athleisure to Tractor Supply.
A very easy transition. Yes, Tractor Supply, one of the few companies in the S&P 500 that was in the green today. The ticker for this one is TSCO. This one has a kind of a cult-like following. It's one of these brands that has a really passionate group of followers. I was on the train in Brooklyn, and there's people wearing Tractor Supply stuff because it's cool now. So it does have some positive momentum and kind of behind it, and it's actually not because of this things like apparel, but it actually has a lot more to do with their food, their pet food. 30% of their sales actually comes from livestock feed and things like that, and that's great in a moment like this where there is so much uncertainty around discretionary spending. It's a really solid base of a recurring revenue stream that the company can always lean on. They don't have a ton of competition out in these rural areas where they operate.
Yeah.
So they're usually up against kind of mom and pop type stores. And so Tractor Supply looking really good heading into earnings in a couple of weeks.
There is no Tractor Supply in Brooklyn.
There's not.
I'm looking, but they have them all over New York State.
Yes. Well, they have an online store as well, so you can get your hat shipped to your front door.
There we go. Multi-channel. Bloomberg News earnings reporter Red Brown.
The Stock Movers Podcast from Bloomberg Radio. Check back with us throughout the day for the latest roundup of companies making news on Wall Street. And for the latest market-moving headlines, listen to Bloomberg Radio Live. Catch us on YouTube, Bloomberg.com, and on Apple CarPlay and Android Auto with the Bloomberg Business app.